Welcome back to the Lotus SMP, where I do not actually have a plan for this episode. Yeah, so like normally I plan out all of my episodes and stuff and I know what I'm going to do in them. This episode, I just kind of don't know, but you might notice the one thing that I do actually want to do. So if you just take a look at my base right now, you might just notice something a little off. Just like as we wander around here, all of the leaves on all of these trees are completely gone. This isn't a prank or like revenge from someone that I've pranked. This is me. I did this because essentially, whilst I don't really have a full episode planned out, I do know that there is one thing that I want to get done with my base right now. And you know, if we finish it, then we might have time for other stuff. So I guess the big question here is, why have I removed all the leaves? Like, it's a little bit excessive. You do have to admit that the whole place is completely barren now. Well, if you remember, last episode, after I had done a bunch of work on the base, I sort of said that I had come up with an idea, and I really think it was going to be a cool addition to put here. Basically, that addition that I came up with was a forest. And there was reasoning behind this. So, of course, when you look at my base, I don't mean to brag or anything, but like, I do feel like it's quite detailed and stuff. There's a lot of texturing, there's a lot of different shapes and stuff in some of these builds. I would say some of it's quite detailed. However, then you just kind of take a look around at normal Minecraft stuff. And look, don't get me wrong here. I absolutely love Minecraft and how it looks, but like these trees, these just generic trees, they don't exactly look good. Or at least they don't look good when you put them next to a bit more complex of a structure. Like, I don't know, it just kind of doesn't work. I guess I would say like it's sort of a mix of styles that doesn't really work that well. And that is why I have gone and removed every tree and every bush as well. Because today, in this episode, I want to take my base, like this whole area. I should probably define what my base is. So like, I never defined it on a map or anything in a video, but essentially, if you go from this hill here, and you just follow the edge of the sparse jungle, like down there, where the grass is nice and vibrant and stuff, if you just follow the edge of that around over to that hill over there, and then you just kind of follow this ridge in the terrain, that's what my base is. This entire sparse jungle area, I consider it to be my base. So today, what I want to do, or at least start, is take this whole area and turn it into a custom forest. Which, I will be honest, is an idea that kind of scares me. Because people that have watched me for a while, and especially on live streams and stuff, might know that, like, trees are not my thing. Any sort of natural living thing in the world, it's just not something I'm that good at building. So the idea of building an entire forest, that just terrifies me. Because the thing is, like, if I do this and it doesn't look good, I think I might genuinely ruin my base. Like, I think the aesthetics of this base and like how nice it is to walk around and stuff, it's gonna plummet through the floor. So like, I really have to get this correct. And that is why I have been removing the trees. There we go. That was my explanation. So essentially, I have been going around and I have been shaving all of the leaves off of these trees. And the reason why I have been doing that instead of just cutting it down is because we are actually going to then use these leaves as the leaves for the trees that I want to build. So, you know, we're just saving a little time. The thing is, when building custom trees, I find that it's not a good idea to just use one consistent texture. So obviously I kind of still want to keep with the jungle theme, so I think jungle wood is probably the best sort of thing to have in the trees, but I really don't like just using a single block. Like, if you look at almost any of the builds here at my base, what you will notice is very rarely is it all made of one consistent texture. Like, even down there, that's a mixture of cracked tiles and normal tiles, because there's just a little bit of texture variation. The only place where I will use a consistent solid texture is on something like this, the futuristic ship, because of course this is a very futuristic design. You would expect it to be a little bit like more of a perfectionist design, so you would probably expect it to be a lot smoother and everything, so it makes sense to use less texturing. Whereas when you're looking at an ancient temple that's been here for who knows how many years, obviously, like, it's going to be a bit run down. You include textures. And in my opinion, the exact same applies with trees and stuff. You don't use just one consistent log. I think a good example would be this tree that is over here at Dinesto's base. This absolutely amazing design, might I say. So, like, from a distance, it's kind of fairly consistent. The colors all match, but as you get closer, you realize this is not a consistent color. Right here, we have cherry wood, and then, like, it just transitions into, what is this called? It is called height. What the heck is that? It is called that block, which, how do I... Did it go there? Yeah, that's good enough. So yeah, this tree is not made with one singular log. It has a lot of texturing in the form of at least one other block. So I want to do the same for all of the trees that I want to put at my base. The thing is, jungle logs are a bit complicated. Because, like, if we take a look at, let's say, a standard Minecraft tree, like a classic oak tree, and we look at the direction of the lines on this bark, it all goes vertical. That is our issue. These lines are vertical, however, if we go and take a look at a jungle log, it is horizontal. So, in my opinion, mixing the textures, it doesn't really work too well. Maybe on a larger scale it would, but the thing is, I want to design this forest with the fact that, like, you are walking around this base in mind. I want it to be a base where you walk along this path and see what it looks like, meaning you're going to be quite close up to the detail. So I think the bark constantly changing direction, it's just not gonna work. So what could we use? Well, I think I have an idea, and I haven't actually checked to make sure this is correct, but I am pretty sure that mangrove wood is one of the other logs that goes horizontal. And by the looks of it, I am correct. So if we just steal some of this real quick, and we just come and land down next to another jungle tree. So if we put that next to each other, I like that. Maybe it's just me, but to me, I think this sort of works quite well. It's like, it's got a lighter color, but it also has a darker color, and because the lines sort of match up, it's fairly good in my opinion. Maybe not perfect, but at the end of the day, jungle wood is a very hard log to work with. So I think that we actually have our logs decided. The only other thing is I now have to decide on leaves. So it's kind of the same thing that I have just mentioned with logs. I don't like using a consistent texture for leaves. I just don't think it looks that great. So my general rule for this sort of stuff is you should include a different mix of leaves specifically with one sort of style. So if I try and think of a way to word this, I would basically say normally the sort of texture mixing that I would use is 2 sets of leaves that change color. So that would be most of the leaves in Minecraft. That would be like oak, dark oak, jungle, acacia, stuff like that. Leaves that change color depending on their biome. However, I also think that it's then a good idea to mix that with either a lighter one or a darker one. So what does that mean? Well, in terms of lighter stuff, I think azalea is a good example if I can find some. So yeah, if we take a look at azalea leaves, these leaves do not change color regardless of the biome. So they look like that in the jungle biome. If we just come over here into the plains biome, they they look exactly the same. And then, just to prove it, if we fly all the way up here to this shattered savanna biome, I believe it's called, as you can see, the exact same color. And azalea leaves are much brighter than other leaves in the game, so I think they work quite well if you want to use a lighter leaf in your texture. The other option I normally recommend is a darker one. You sort of want to have either one lighter one or one darker one. You never really want to have neither, but you can have both. So, as an example, we can take these birch leaves. As we can see, same sort of example. So this is, I think, like, it's either plains or a river biome, and spruce looks like this. And if we come over into the jungle and place it down, you can see it hasn't changed color. So currently, I am wondering what leaves to use in my forest. So obviously I said I want to use jungle. I think jungle leaves work really well here. So like if we just add jungle down there, that's fine. Another one that I think works quite well is oak leaves with it because they have a very similar texture, but as you can see, they are slightly different. It's a very slight difference, but it is something. It sort of breaks up the repetitive noise of it. Then I think the other one we can use, where did I put it? It's in here. We can also use mangrove leaves because look at that. It's a bit darker than oak, I would still say, but it's still a similar enough shade. Plus, as you can see, it has a lot longer leaves compared to the other two, so it has a very different texture. And now it comes to the decision of what sort of other thing that we use. So we could use spruce, but honestly, I feel like it's too dark. Spruce just feels too dark for me to justify using. I don't think it mixes well. So what about birch leaves? I mean, it's better. Like, I would say it works, but maybe it feels a little too desaturated. So I think my final hope here might be azalea, which is lighter, and I am preferring that, I think. So if I just like jump up here and look at it from above, yeah, I prefer that. Again, this does all come down to opinion. You might absolutely hate that. I mean, maybe birch is better? I don't know. I think birch is better if I want to go for a bit more mystical, have a bit more like shadowy sort of looking, but I think if I want like nice vibrant forest, I think azalea might work better. I think I'm going to go with this combination, which I'll be honest kind of sucks because azalea is not easy to get. So if I just come back over here and collect this up really quick. So our final texture that we are going to use for the leaves is going to be jungle wood, mangrove wood, jungle leaves, mangrove leaves, oak leaves, and azalea leaves. I think I like that mixture. And honestly, worst comes to worst, I think remove the azalea. Azalea might not fit, but to me, it still feels like it could work. And I think I'm just gonna need to try it. So, okay, we now have the texture for the trees that we actually want. However, obviously, we can't actually build this forest unless, you know, we get rid of what was sort of the old forest around here. So I think before we can really get to work, we're gonna need to remove these trees. Or, you know, what's left of them. Okay, so I did remove some trees, but I didn't just stop at my base. So like if we fly out this way over to the mangrove forest, as you can see, there's some stuff cleared off the trees here, and I think over here as well. Yep, I cleared off a bunch of leaves in this area, and surprisingly, mangrove leaves are actually really easy to collect. I think out of all of the leaves that I had, mangrove was the quickest to get. Heading out into the swamp, there's a few areas like this where I've just gone and stolen all of the leaves. They haven't despawned somehow. And there's also a birch forest somewhere out here that is completely destroyed as well, but oddly, I cannot find it. Oh, here it is. Yeah, it's a bit scruffy, I will admit. And yes, I did say birch there. That is because I actually decided that I think I prefer a different gradient to the one that I said in the video earlier. Now, I know that I said earlier that, like, I think I preferred azalea in this mixture here, but you have to keep in mind, this is a very small mixture on the floor here. So when I went into a testing world and I actually tried it, I realized I preferred birch a lot better. And by the way, this is all of the stuff that we need. So as you can see, we have a chest full of jungle leaves. I didn't really fill the second chest in any of these. All I know is I just needed ever so slightly over a double chest. So I just kind of filled up a double chest and then just got some extra. So in here we have jungle leaves, we have our oak leaves in here, we have mangrove, and then this one is now birch. The other reason I traded it out for azalea is because birch is much easier to get. I have no idea where I would collect this much azalea leaves if I needed it. Then in these chests here we have a whole bunch of jungle wood. This is an expensive build, and the same with mangrove. And really quick, big thank you to Rad Lizard, because I was using their mangrove farm. So like, go and check them out. They have some amazing builds here on the server, and I don't know how long this project would have taken without them. And finally, in these chests here, we actually have a bunch of spruce fences. That is because I really like to use spruce fences as either like branches or just sort of gaps in the leaves in these builds. And it's kind of mixed in there at a fairly similar quantity to each of the leaves. So yeah, I needed a lot of these. There is some random spruce forest out in the middle of nowhere that is completely decimated now. But anyway, so now that we have this entire area cleared out, and we have done some wonderful work collecting all of these resources, which might actually not be enough still. If it's not, I'll just gather some more. And I think we actually have everything we need in order to build all of this. So without waiting around any longer, let's finally build this massive part of our base. I did not know it would take this long, but we're done. Like, just look at this forest that we now have around our entire... Oh. Yeah, so I suppose I should probably tell you now, but essentially, when I started building this forest, and even like before I built it in this world, when I was doing it in my planning world, I knew that this was going to be a massive project. And like, I was correct. So for a bit of perspective, I'm pretty sure building this ship up here, it took me around 2 days, and I think I built it in 2-hour increments. So like, this ship, it only took like around 4 hours, I think, and that is me overestimating, I think. I don't entirely remember. This forest has taken me 4 separate hours building it, and that is with every resource already collected. So instead of building this entire forest in one single episode, which would take me absolutely ages, and like, this video would not be out, instead I have decided to split my base into 3 separate segments. What we have just built now is segment 1. This is segment 1 with the forest already complete. Segment 2 is going to be like the border of this forest, this path here and the temple and stuff, coming around all the way to around here. Sort of like the edge of the farm, the very end of where we have built. And it's gonna head out that way towards the hill. Segment 3 is going to be from from that border there all the way around to the edge of this forest over here. So you see where like Seaman has planted all of these trees and stuff? Basically like connect up the lines here and then just that segment 3, which is kind of worrying because I have realized that like this has already taken hours and I'm pretty sure this is actually the smallest segment. After that, we have this segment which I think is ever so slightly bigger, and then the third and final segment is just massive. It's gonna take me ages. However, at the end of the day, that is why I have split this up. So instead of building this entire forest in one episode, we are going to do one segment per video. So this is the first of 3 videos where we're going to work on this forest. So before we get on to work with other stuff, because I do want to do some stuff other than just working on the forest this episode. How do I get out? I want to take you around what we have built so far, because I think even though this is the smallest segment, I think it's my favorite in terms of detail. So yeah, as you can see, you can sort of get a rough impression of what I want this to be like. Like, you can sort of imagine trees on this side, although maybe not. This tree I didn't realize I liked so much until I saw it from this angle. It is massive and I love it. But yeah, so you can get the impression that like the forest is sort of around this entire area. And as you can see, we have gone and expanded out a little water area here. This doesn't really make sense. So in logical terms, if you had a pond here, and then like if you just look at the fact that it's going downhill and it leads out to the ocean, this pond would not exist. All of this water by now would have flowed out into the ocean. But because we are in a Minecraft world, and because of the fact that from here there is a bit of a hill in the way so you can't see the ocean, this doesn't feel wrong. It's one of those times where logically something wouldn't work, but because of the way the land is around it, it doesn't really feel like that. So yeah, the pond just kind of heads around here and then it just flows into the ocean. It's nothing special really. But if we walk through the forest, you can get a little bit of an impression of how I hoped this place would feel, and I think the general sort of impression I wanted is coming through. Like, I wouldn't say that it feels like a dense jungle, but I would say that it does feel like a nice cozy forest, and I'm fine with that. Another little detail is every single one of these trees is unique. None of these trees have the exact same design, which in some ways is also why it takes so long to build and stuff, because like you can't just sort of copy the same design everywhere. Every single one of these trees is unique in its own way. That doesn't mean they're not similar. I mean, I think a lot of these trees have 3 branches on them and stuff, but it's at least different. It doesn't feel really repetitive. And then I think my favorite detail that we have is the ship over here that we landed, obviously, like, that was quite a while ago. I don't know what episode number it was, but like we have this ship here, and obviously like I had to work around this because when I did that little bit of lore, well, none of this forest existed. So I needed an explanation. Well, how did the ship land here if there was just a huge forest? And I think, as you can see, the explanation I went with was just they went through it. So it's like you can see there's this tree here which is completely missing its top, and I'm now standing on it. This is the top of the tree here. And then you've got like, I think that's a branch that's been taken off there, and also that one there. You have this massive tree that's just been entirely knocked over here, and then you've got another one on that side. And I think it was just a fun detail that it kind of added to it. It makes it feel like this ship didn't just sort of land here and then everything grew around it. It makes it clear that the trees were here first. And personally, now that it's gone dark, I don't know why, there's just like some really nice vibe around it. I'm not entirely sure what it is. So yeah, I think if I'm going to add anything to the forest, I want to make it a little more overgrown. Like, I want to add some bushes or something around, I think. Just because, like, obviously you wouldn't expect it to only be trees. You would expect a lot of like dirt around. Maybe, I wonder if there's a way I can make it look like there's fallen leaves. I don't know. I might do like some texturing with moss or mix in some dirt, put a bunch of bushes around, maybe bone meal all of the grass. It's just something to experiment with a bit. But anyway, so now that the forest, or at least the segment that we are doing today, is complete, what are we going to do? Because, like, there's still some time left in this video. Well, I want to show you guys a little interaction that I had with Skipper, because whilst I was building this, I got a little visit from him. And I think this is absolutely the most pointless and ridiculous project that I have taken on this season. So yeah, let's just go and look at that clip. I really hope you guys like it. That's interesting. Is that... Oh, I broke it. So, you need a janitor. For the record, I love the rubber duck.
Thank you. It was a gift from Chespy.
Your base is a mess. I'm not sure if I'm able to help, I'll be honest. I mean, like, mine isn't doing very good itself.
I'll pay you.
How much? One time.
Oh, you want more? Okay, wait.
How much would you pay me? What's the Right, you know what? Hold on. Take those back. Let me drop off my stuff.
I heard a sniffing sound.
Oh. Hey, mate.
Hello. Are you one of the ones that I brought here?
Come on, mate.
Oh.
Get out of there. Come on. Yeah, be free. Skipper, what is the mess? Is it the snow? Yeah, good job.
I'm back from the abyss.
Oh, are we talking about the snow? Is that the mess?
I'm talking about the snow, the chests everywhere.
Okay, right. So here's the thing. My base also has a bunch of chests everywhere. Do you know what my solution is?
What's your solution? Oh.
And then you leave it.
But I have this little area over here marked out as a junkyard to bring all the stuff.
Oh my god. All of that?
Yeah. Because I don't know how much of this is valuable.
Like in the chests? Do we just place down every block?
So, like, anything that's, like, not really supposed to be there. So, for instance, all of the orange sand from when Dan pranked me at Halloween, we can just collect that and pile it up in the corner.
You haven't existed on the server for, like, several months. You've got months worth of pranks that are just left over.
I've never been good about
Why
cheating.
would you want a junkyard?
Well, that way all the junk is just there.
Why not just let it, like, disappear?
Well, you see, I'm also lazy, and I haven't designed this area of my base anyway. So, I mean...
Oh, God.
Junkyard.
Right, let me organize my inventory. And you know what? This will make for maybe funny content.
we're gonna need chests.
Or you could just place everything down. I feel like it would be really funny to just place every block. But at the same time, your base might become really ugly. So Skipper, do you want it all in chests, or do you want to just pile it all up?
You see, I haven't thought this fully through. I put this out like in March and then haven't touched it since because I haven't been on. So I was just thinking we could just, like, any way we want, just put it all in here. You know?
Just pile it up.
Pile it all up.
I guess we should start grabbing blocks then.
There's some decently important resources in here. I mean, what else will I do with all these spider eyes?
Alright, okay. I've got a bunch of stuff. Let's start the pile there. So there we go. We have a nice, wonderful forest. We've gone and helped out Skipper. Honestly, quite a good episode, I think. And you know, I genuinely can't wait to see where this goes. Wait a second, Skipper never paid me.